Hello, my name is Joanne Hewins. I have a blog at lovetocreate.typepad.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to make this card. It's using the Sea Turtle stamp set, and we're going to be using a technique called masking. So we'll be using the Sea Turtle stamp set. This stamp set is actually a reversible stamp set. Let me get a piece of colored paper. I'm going to pull one of these stamps out so you can see it. I have two things to point out. Number one, it's not the same size as the picture. I'm going to put it behind this piece of paper. It's not the same size as the picture. It's much larger, and that is because of the size of the rest of the stamps, so that it will all fit on the cover. They had to reduce the size of that, but inside, these are big stamps. Look, this one compared to this little one, if you can see. Okay, the other thing about these stamps are they are reversible. So that means there's one side that has all of the detail, and the other side of the stamp is very smooth. And that way you can actually stamp using both sides. Now we're going to be using the smaller size of the turtle. The other thing, and let me tell you also, these other stamp sets we're going to be using, You Are Beautiful, the large plant on that. We're also going to use the saying from Seaside Wishes, the love you right there. I just need a little small saying. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was cutting my paper. If you look at the inside of this card, it is on a long 4.5 by 11. Scored halfway is at 5.5. And I don't know, you don't see them open like this so much. Most of the time they're up and down, and you'll see them open. But I just picked a piece of paper that was already cut and used it. For the sample today, we're going to cut and use it from the other direction. So let's talk about cutting our paper. Now earlier today I started this video. I had to stop it because as I was talking about using the trimmer, I cut my finger, so I had to stop and take a break. Not bad cuts, you just have to be careful. So this is the cutting, and this is the scoring. Now there's an easy way to score when you're doing something that's going to have this long cut to it, like I was showing. If you turn it this short way and put it on 5.5, which is halfway between, halfway on 11, use your score thing, then you've already got both of your cards scored. So I did that. I'm going to turn it to 4 1/4, which is half of 8.5. And I'm going to score that, or trim that. And now I have two cards cut and ready to go. And but we're not going to use these. I'll save them for another time because we're going to do the other orientation. I wanted to show you how to cut that. Here we are again with our paper that's 11 by 8.5. And this time I'm going to put it on the 4 1/4. You just make sure you bank that up against the top real well, and then you've got your lines here that you can also see that it's straight. This time I'm going to use this scoring, and I'm going to score down through there. I'm getting ready to cut. I'm going to turn it and put that on 5.5. 5.5 is half of 11. This time we're going to cut. And now we have two cards ready to go, two bases ready to go in this different orientation. But what I wanted to show you is it's really not that different as into how you're going to make it. I know I've had classes before that I changed things around, and some of them had a hard time. Let me take this one out of the way, and we'll get started with our card. Now with that score, I'm not so sure you can tell, there's one side that has a valley look to it. The other side has a mountain look to it. We're going to take this down with a mountain, and I'm going to turn it in there. I'm going to match my corners because even though I scored it, I might not be perfect because I'm a human. So you have to check that out. So now we've got our card base ready to go. I'm going to set it aside, and we'll pull that back in a few minutes. And for this card, this is Pretty Peacock, and this is Lost Lagoon. So I have a piece of Lost Lagoon that is, let's see, it is 3.5 by 4 3/4. And then I have a piece of basic white that is just a little bit smaller. I'll have all of these measurements on my video description. And then I have another piece that's the same size, I think, as it's a little bit bigger, but another one that's going to go on the inside. And here's another tip before I move on. I'm going to tell you that there's kind of a little ridge right there on this paper. I don't know if you can see it. That's from the cutter. And I'm going to take my bone folder and just go across those. And that will make that lay down so that if I end up needing this side for my card, it will look fine. So I'll go ahead and do the same with this one, although I don't really see, well, that one's sticking up a little bit. Okay, I do have a new blade in my trimmer. So, we're going to begin with our decorating, and we're going to be doing the front of the card. We're also going to go ahead and work on the inside of the card because while you have some stamps out, you might as well use them. And while they're inked up, you might as well use them. So I'm going to start with this stamp, which is the smaller turtle, and I'm going to stamp that in Pretty Peacock. So let me ink that up. Now I'm going to go ahead and put one right in here for the inside of the card. And then for this outside, I'm going to put one about right there. Ink it again. I'm going to turn this around and make this turtle come this way. And then I'll kind of turn it around again and make me another turtle right here. Now you notice I went off the edge with some of these, and that's okay. It just kind of makes it look maybe a little bit more real. So I'm through with my peacock. So let me close that up. And I'm going to bring in my Lost Lagoon. And I'm also going to bring in a chamois. And I'm going to take this turtle and clean it off. I was looking to make sure I didn't have any ink on my block. And I'm just going to take that off, turn it over, and now the smooth side is here. And I'm going to finish stamping up my turtles, or stamping my turtles. So I'm going to do my Lost Lagoon. I'm going to stamp that off, and then I'm going to stamp it over the top of this turtle. And because it's photopolymer, it makes it a little easier to see the image. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, we'll stamp it off, and then put it right over the other turtle. Now, it may not look perfect, but I think it's good enough. They're underwater. Everything's distorted, right? All right, and we'll finish up our turtles. And one more. I like the photopolymer because you can see through that and get it pretty close. All right, I think that'll work. And we are ready to start with our plants. So I'm going to bring in this from the You Are Beautiful big plant and my garden green for my plant. But if I start stamping these plants, they're going to cover up my turtles. So I need to make a mask for that. Now I have some Stampin' Up has masking paper. I don't have any, so I'm just using a Post-it removable labeling tape. This is 2 inches wide, but you certainly, you don't have to have it a certain width. It's just according to what you want. And last week I was using that paper, so I'm just going to pull in some leftover and we'll use that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean my turtle. I'm going to turn it back around because I really think that image might be the one I need to cut. So I'm going to make a mask. I'll just use this green while I have it out. And I'll stamp a couple of these just on this removable tape. And this is going to go in the trash when I'm done, so it just really doesn't matter that I've got these little snowflakes on that paper. And what you will do then is cut out the image. Looking for my scissors. And I'm just going to pull that up. And I'm going to cut those apart. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just cut right around the edge of that with my scissors. Okay, this is going to be a bleeding video as well. I had started one earlier that I had to stop because of the cutter, and now I have just pierced myself with these scissors, and they are very sharp. So let me dab a Kleenex on there real quick. And I see I've gotten my finger, okay, it might be a disaster, but you know what? Those things happen, and I'm just going to keep going. So I'm going to cut around the turtle, and I'm seeing that this ink isn't really being absorbed so much by the paper, and so it's still wet. I'll dab that again in a minute. Please don't be horrified. It's just a little poke. All right. Now, I already have another mask that I made earlier, and so I'll just cut this one. And let me talk to you about the sample that's out there. You may notice that there is a little bit of white around some of the turtles where the greenery is there. And that is because there's a thickness. I used a Post-it note on the first one, and the thickness makes a difference. And I'm hoping that using this masking tape will work. So what I'm going to do, I'll start with this one first. What I'm going to do is just place that mask right over the turtle, like that. And that's going to cover up the turtle. And we should be able to do our stamping over that. Let me open that so we can look at it. And I really just used one stamp. And I'm going to turn my stamp over and stamp this way. And I've got a little bit on the edge here. I was just thinking, not my best video. Maybe not the day to do the video. So I'm going to go ahead and put my plant here. And then I'm going to pick up the mask, pull it away, and there is our turtle with the plant behind it. So I'll move that one up here and we'll start on this one. So I'm going to put this mask on the turtle, and I'm going to put this one, and my problem I'm seeing here is that this green is getting onto my background paper. I'm not as alarmed because this is under the ocean, so there can be some different things, but that's not what I had in mind. So we'll go ahead and stamp here. And let me turn that back to the front. So the Post-it note did not run with my stamping on it like this did. Okay, so I've got that one. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp a couple of times. I'm going to pull this one off. I've got thick fingernails, so it's hard for me to pick off just to pull this up. Okay, and now I can finish stamping the rest of the front of that. Okay. And then we'll ink that up one more time. And get this one. All right, so let's pull off our little pieces and see what we have. And I'll just get my mask over here out of the way. I think I'm done with those. There we go. And now you can see our little turtles there. All right, so the last thing that we're going to do for the background is to bring in a blending brush, and I'm going to be using Pool Party for this. So I'm going to do the inside first, and I'm just going to ink up my Pool Party. I'm going to get a little bit of that off, and you're going to start from off the card. And I'm really just going to do this half of the card, or this part of the card. So this may have kind of turned into a do as I say, not as I do kind of card, but I think it's going to be okay. We'll see how that looks with the green smeared on there, but I'm thinking with the ocean, what difference, I mean, what's it going to matter? So we'll cover the entire front with this. Probably need to re-ink my pad, but I didn't want to do it right before I did this. It would be more likely to have swirls that maybe I didn't want. Now I can see that I still have, with the plant, there's still a little bit of space there that's white, where my masking tape was. Okay, I think we're ready to assemble. All right, so all in all, getting punctured and all of that, smearing my stuff, maybe it's not too bad. So I'm going to bring in these pieces, and we'll just assemble. And I like to kind of get my corners, opposite corners, and just kind of hover a little bit with that until I think it looks pretty even. And then this will go on the front. Okay. And so we'll try to make sure that that looks even. I've been having a little problems lately with things being even. Okay, I think that will work just fine. And then we'll put this on the inside. Okay. Okay, I think that will do it. Alright, now we need to do a little bit of embellishment on the front. So I told you that we would use the Love You from, well, there it goes, from Seaside Wishes. And I'm going to stamp that in the Pretty Peacock on a scrap. And then I'm going to cut that out using the Stylish Shapes dies. I'm going to do that off screen. And I'm going to use the smallest circle. And it's going to look like it won't fit, but it's going to be okay. And I've got some movable Scotch tape that I'm going to just put over that. And I'll run this through. My machine's just right here. Okay, and hopefully that will work. Let me pull that tape off. And that is just Scotch removable tape. It's on a roll like this. And here's our word, Love You. And I'm going to tell you that on this one, I have used the Peacock and Gold ribbon. It's really, really beautiful. And I borrowed that from a friend, and I didn't get enough for the next card. So what we're going to use is this green. This is from the Natural Tones linen thread. It's in the new mini catalog. I noticed earlier today that it's not available right now, but it will be. And I made a mess with this one. I guess I couldn't find the end, but we're going to use a bow maker, and I like to run it through a couple of times, and we'll do that. This is kind of a double bow. I did it around twice. I just am not one of those people that can tie a bow without help. Okay, so we're going to use this underneath our Love You. I'm going to get a glue dot. All right, and I'm just going to put my bow there. Oops. Okay, it didn't want to come off. It's a little whopper-jawed now, but I'm going to put it underneath that anyway, so maybe it will be all right being a little bit whoppered. And I'm going to get a dimensional, okay, sorry, hold on a minute. Okay, I'm going to use these mini dimensionals. I'm going to put one on that side of the dot, or the knot, let me say, and one here. And hopefully there's room for that to go there. That'll make it where it's going to lie a little bit flatter with that under there. And I think it's okay to have that like that, a little bit weird. And we'll just trim that a little and that a little. Okay, and then the last thing that I'm going to add is some green, garden green embellishments. This is from the Earth Tones Shimmer Gems. So I'm going to pull out a couple of those and put them somewhere on my card. And then we'll put a little one. Maybe we'll put it down in here. Okay, so I think we're done. So which one do you like best? Do you like the one that has the linen thread, the garden green linen thread? Or do you like the one with the gold, a little bit of gold in it? So these are our two cards. One opens like this. The other one opens like this. They are both from 1/2 of the 8.5 by 11 cardstock that we have. Thank you so much for listening in today. Sorry it maybe wasn't my best day, but it's all right. I'm trying to get back into making some videos. I went a while without it, and I'm just so glad that you are here. Please check with the description of the YouTube video. I will have measurements there, and I will have a link to my blog post as well. Thank you. If I can help you with supplies, I'll be more than happy to do so. Thank you, and bye-bye.